The movie centers on grief, sisterhood, and the unexpected ways people can save each other. While Voicemails for Isabelle is wrapped in the structure of a romantic comedy, its ending reveals that the story is never really about Jill finding a boyfriend. It's about learning how to live after losing the person she loves most. By the time the film reaches its final scenes, Jill has lost her sister, nearly lost her dream career, and pushed away the one person who truly understands her. Yet, through all that heartbreak, Isabelle's presence continues to shape every decision Jill makes. The film's biggest emotional conflict arrives when Jill discovers that Wes has been receiving her voicemails all along. From Wes's perspective, it was a bizarre accident. He inherited Isabelle's old phone number after her death and unexpectedly became the recipient of months of messages. At first, he planned to tell Jill she had the wrong number, but her messages kept arriving. Slowly, he became invested in her life, her humor, and her grief. For Jill, however, the situation feels completely different. Those voicemails were her safe space. They weren't public conversations. They were intimate messages meant only for Isabelle. Through them, Jill shared her deepest fears, embarrassing stories, romantic frustrations, and raw feelings about losing her sister. When she learns Wes has heard all of it, she feels exposed. More importantly, she wonders whether Wes truly fell in love with her or with the version of her he learned through those recordings. Their entire relationship suddenly feels compromised because she never had the chance to choose what parts of herself to reveal. Her emotional reaction isn't really about the phone number, it's about grief. The voicemails were the last remaining connection she had with Isabelle, and now even that feels violated. After leaving Wes, Jill's life appears to collapse. She loses the baking competition, her soufflé fails, and she explodes at Chef Bastian in front of everyone. On the surface, it looks like a professional meltdown. In reality, it's the first honest emotional release Jill has experienced since Isabelle died. Throughout the film, she constantly hides behind humor. She jokes about everything, including death. Even when she's devastated, she turns pain into comedy. At the competition, she finally stops pretending. Her anger toward Bastian is really years of frustration directed at every obstacle she's faced. It's grief, disappointment, fear, and self-doubt erupting all at once. Ironically, losing the competition becomes the moment she starts finding herself again. Instead of continuing to chase someone else's approval, she begins pursuing the kind of cooking that actually matters to her. One of the most touching moments arrives when Jill's parents reveal Isabelle's college fund. The money represents far more than financial support. For years, Isabelle encouraged Jill to chase her dreams. Even during her final phone call, she refused to let Jill abandon culinary school and come home. The college fund becomes Isabelle's final gift. It gives Jill permission to move forward. Until that point, Jill has been trapped between honoring her sister's memory and building a future for herself. Using the fund to start her dessert food truck allows her to do both. The truck is not a rejection of Isabelle. It's a continuation of everything they shared. The kitchen was always their place. Their childhood memories were built around food, recipes, and creativity. By opening the business, Jill transforms her grief into something tangible. For the first time, she's creating a future instead of living in the past. One of the most meaningful gestures in the film comes from Wes after their breakup. When he discovers Jill accidentally lost Isabelle's saved messages, he sacrifices something he treasures, his rare Alpha Black Lotus card, to help recover them. This moment proves that Wes finally understands what Isabelle means to Jill. He doesn't try to win Jill back with romantic speeches. He protects the thing she values most. The recovered recordings matter because they restore a piece of Isabelle that Jill thought was gone forever. Throughout the movie, the voicemails function almost like a living memory. They allow Isabelle's personality, humor, and love to survive long after her death. By recovering them, Wes gives Jill back a part of her sister. It's the purest expression of love he could offer. When Jill receives the restored recordings, one message stands out. In it, Isabelle encourages her before an important interview and reminds her that she's brave, capable, and stronger than she realizes. The timing is significant. Jill hears the message exactly when she needs it most. For much of the film, she's been waiting for some sign that she's moving in the right direction. Isabelle's words become that sign. The message reinforces one of the movie's central ideas. Although people die, the impact they have on others remains. Isabelle cannot physically return, but her love continues influencing Jill's choices. Even in death, she's still pushing her sister forward. The New Year's Eve reunion works because neither character is trying to fix the other's pain. When Wes finally finds Jill at her food truck, he doesn't claim that love will make everything better. Instead, he admits the truth. He is scared, he is imperfect, and he loves her. Earlier in the film, Jill tells Wes about her fantasy of someone sitting beside her on the Golden Gate Bridge bench and simply knowing. By the ending, Wes has become that person. Not because he replaces Isabelle, not because he magically heals her grief, but because he stays, he listens, he understands. Most importantly, he accepts that Isabelle will always remain part of Jill's life. Their reunion succeeds because it acknowledges that love and grief can exist together. The ending circles back to the movie's opening scene with Robin's dancing On My Own. The song has always belonged to Jill and Isabelle. When it unexpectedly begins playing during Jill's final voicemail, she immediately interprets it as a sign from her sister. Whether it's truly a supernatural sign doesn't really matter. The important part is how Jill reacts. Earlier in the story, memories of Isabelle left her devastated. Now they make her smile. She can think about her sister without being consumed by sorrow. That emotional shift is the true ending of the film. Jill hasn't forgotten Isabelle. She hasn't moved on from her. Instead, she's learned how to carry Isabelle's memory with her while continuing to live. At its heart, Voicemails for Isabelle is not a romance about replacing a lost loved one. It's a story about learning that love doesn't disappear when someone dies. For most of the movie, Jill treats the voicemails as a lifeline to the past. She keeps talking to Isabelle because she cannot imagine a future without her. By the ending, that relationship changes. Isabelle is no longer the person holding Jill in place. She becomes the person helping Jill move forward. Wes enters Jill's life because of a bizarre accident, but he stays because he understands something essential. Grief isn't a problem to solve, it's something people learn to carry. The final scenes show both characters embracing uncertainty. Jill pursues her dream, Wes chooses vulnerability over fear, and Isabelle's voice continues to echo through their lives. The film ultimately argues that healing doesn't mean letting go of someone you lost. It means finding a way to keep loving them while allowing yourself to love, dream, and live again. That is the gift Isabelle leaves behind, and it's why the ending feels both heartbreaking and hopeful at the same time.